Story. We all love story. That's a big part of filmmaking. But that word is thrown around so much, it's hard to know what it actually means and what actually makes up a good story.
Today we're going to look at the main ingredients of a well-told story and how each part impacts your film and your audience. So let's start with the basics. What is a story? A story is the retelling of events, whether they are real or imaginary, often from a single perspective.
Every good story has several key ingredients that affect its impact. Think of it like this. Storytelling is a lot like baking a cake. When cooking, you have main ingredients: sugar, flour, eggs, and water. Each ingredient has an impact on the texture and the flavor of your cake.
An incredible moving story is much like that cake. There are 4 main ingredients to a story, and without them, your story will lose the connection and attention of your audience.
We call these ingredients the 4 pillars of story: people, purpose, plot, and place.
The first ingredient, and one of the most critical, is people. People are the characters within your story. A story is never stronger than the people within it. It's the strength of the character in your film that leads to a deeper emotional connection with your audience.
A person who has a strong desire, who really wants something, makes for a powerful character in a story. Their desire leads to a connection with the audience. The more the character wants something, the more the audience wants it for them. They empathize.
We were just in Medford, Oregon, filming a story about a boxer. Troy, the main character, runs a boxing gym and trains kids who are at risk of getting into gangs and drugs. Troy grew up in a rough neighborhood and got involved with a gang and was arrested and understands how it can wreck a life. So now he desires to help other kids avoid that road by teaching them discipline and work ethics and introducing them to a community that cares about their futures.
The second ingredient is purpose. This is the overall objective behind your story. Why are you telling it? What impact do you want it to have? What do you want your audience to do after watching this film? It delivers value to your audience and is a big reason why your story will be remembered.
We've all seen stories that are fun to watch, like an action movie, but with no deeper message or purpose, we quickly forget them.
Define your purpose as keywords or write your purpose in a single sentence, but it's critical to define your purpose before you start to film.
The purpose of Troy's story was to create support for his boxing gym. We wanted groups locally to see the bigger mission behind the gym and to give their support through time or finances to help Troy continue to pursue his dream of helping kids in similar situations as his own.
The third ingredient to a story is plot. This is your story's structure, the journey that your character goes on. A stronger plot leads to a stronger engagement from your audience. If your audience gets bored and doesn't finish watching a film all the way through, then that's a plot problem.
Conflict is a key part of a strong plot structure. When a character faces a conflict, it grabs our attention and we stick around to see the answer. Will the character make it? Will he be able to turn his life around? When the main character is faced with a conflict, he must decide to go on the quest to find the answer. And it's our goal as the filmmaker to make sure the audience sticks around for the resolution.
The next ingredient is what we call place. This is where your character lives in the story and how you show it to the audience. In a film, we often call this our B-roll.
While the plot structure is the order of events and what they mean to the story, place is the locations and environments and objects and time that surround the events in the plot.
Establishing place in a story leads to a greater feeling of authenticity for the audience. We bring our audience in as witnesses to the scene. The goal is to show rather than tell.
For Troy's story, the boxing gym, boxing gloves, and the ring itself were obviously important.
But some of the harder plot points to show were Troy's interpersonal battles of how his life decisions would affect his kids.
We brought the viewer into the scene of Troy arriving home after being let go from the police station.
We try to show the viewer the weight Troy is feeling versus telling them every detail.
Now let's recap the 4 pillars of story and the role each plays. People are the characters in your story who have a strong desire that your audience can connect with.
Purpose is the reason why you are telling a story. Always define your purpose before you ever pick up a camera.
Plot is the structure of the events of your story that keeps your audience's attention.
And lastly, place is where your characters and events live.
When we take the time to properly measure out the ingredients of our story, we create something that our audience can truly sink their teeth into.